loreheads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today, we're talking about the lawless port city of Bilgewater. Who knew that the regions also had titles to them? Our listeners, probably.
Not us.
Well, we're catching up to them, okay?
I think I did say it for Ionia, because I went to the wiki and I saw it there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's got like a little alias. That's what they call it, an alias.
Ooh.
I'm like, Jennifer Garner isn't even here. It's a joke for all my old
Or
listeners.
is she?
Oh, damn, that's true.
Yeah. Well, speaking of alias, it is interesting in Realms of Runeterra, it's under the title for the section is Serpent Isles, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
In the book. Yeah, it's not like they call it Bilgewater every other instance immediately after that. But on
just
that
to
first
confuse
page, everyone. Yeah, in case you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I guess just because like part of the stuff is like the Buru area that's part of the Serpent Isles, but not technically part of Bilgewater.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually wrong. So everyone who's typing comments, I'm sorry. I should have said something earlier, but I'm actually wrong.
Erase the comments.
It's actually a separate section for Bilgewater. That's something. I swear to Christ, I was looking at this book earlier. Yeah, wow, what's wrong with me? I'm sorry. I'm just like I'm not on my A game today.
Yeah, I was gonna
starting
say.
off with a lie to our loyalists.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway.
Don't worry, we'll go over the different regions of Bilgewater,
Sure,
some of the local
right.
wildlife, the
That was my job again.
All right. What's the quick high level? If someone doesn't know what a Bilgewater is, what is it? What's the pitch?
So
Pirates.
I've got a blurb,
Yeah.
and then I've got my 4-word synopsis.
A 4-word synopsis.
You
So
deliver those in whichever order you think is better.
yeah, I'll do the official one. You know,
okay.
so
Sure.
Bilgewater's a haven for smugglers, marauders, and the unscrupulous, where fortunes are made and ambitions shattered in the blink of an eye. For those fleeing justice, debt, or persecution, it's a city of new beginnings. No one on the twisted streets of Bilgewater cares about your past. It's a melting pot of cultures, races, and creeds, alive with activity at all hours. While incredibly dangerous, Bilgewater is also ripe with opportunity, free from the shackles of government, regulation, and moral constraints. If you have the coin, almost anything can be purchased in Bilgewater, from outlawed hextech to the favor of local crime lords. Nevertheless, come daybreak, the unwary are found floating in the harbor, their purses empty and their throats slit.
Whoa.
My synopsis for this one is Gangs, Ghosts, Galleons, and Gods.
Interesting.
The
Gods?
4 Gs, just like.
Yeah.
So
like
if you put him in a square, is the middle the G spot? Is that how you found it?
Yo.
I found it.
I got there, guys. Just in the 4 Gs of Bilgewater. I'm gonna make her come now. I'm sorry.
Great. Yeah, we started off strong.
My brethren.
I thought I smelled fish. No, come on now. Come on.
No, that was good. See, I was childish, but you were like, vagina means fishy smell.
That's if there's one thing
The
I know.
mature commentator.
Right, a little high. I'm sorry, it's a little too highbrow. Right,
In your robe with your
Christ,
Lord of the Rings necklace is what it
it's
looks
cold,
like.
man. It's fucking cold here. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with all those. I said Monster Hunter Pirates because we watched Monster Hunter, and it's been stuck in my brain because we haven't yet talked about it.
That's true.
But yeah, those are all pretty good.
That's going to be our next Patreon episode, by the way. If you'd like a nice review of Monster Hunter, we got you.
And if you don't, we
All I
got
know
you
is-
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely talk about it. That'll be nice. See, I'm sure you got a list of all the people in it. We want to go through like the major players. Who's the big cheese?
So these are the folks that are like either from Bilgewater or currently live there. We got Fizz, Gangplank, Graves, Alawi, Misfortune, Nautilus, Tom Kench, Pike, and Twisted Fate. And Jack, according to the wiki, who
Jack?
if you don't know who that is, you could be forgiven because he's not in League of Legends proper. He showed up on our Bilgewater test to much of our confusion.
Yeah, right.
But he's a Legends of Runeterra card.
Oh.
Yeah. He's one of the few, like, he's one where he's a champion. He is a champion card, quote unquote, but he's not an in-game champion. I don't know what that means specifically. He's of a tier equivalent to a champion. Sure.
He's a big shark man.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Big shark fella.
Much like Bombolini.
Big shark Abraham Lincoln. Yeah.
From the boys
it was striking me when... He doesn't look like Bombolini's written as like a hammerhead shark.
Yeah, he doesn't look like him. I just meant he's like a shark person, like Bombolini is. Like,
sure,
just like the One Piece Sharkmen.
I'll take your word for it.
They all look different,
I only watched it the once.
Then you just
the live action.
The main antagonist is a Sharkman.
Was he?
He was.
These intricate details. Right?
I just remember the clown. Was there a clown?
There was a clown.
I remember
the clown. I know that. You and I know that.
There was a whole moment in a fight where he got his teeth punched out, and it was like, haha, I got you. And then he did the shark thing where he just grew new teeth.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It's very disturbing, honestly. But
I didn't know they did it so quickly.
Yeah, now we've got a handful of other people that are connected to Bilgewater.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
All right, we have. I've separated them all into their little subcategories. We've got Ari, Brahm, and Yasuo. This is the group I call Hunting Some Viego, the cool version.
So, the Ruination game.
That's from the Ruined King.
The Ruined King. I can never remember the name of it.
Which leads us to Lucian and Olaf, Hunting Viego, the uncool version.
Mm-hmm.
Lucian was cool the first time he showed up.
Lucian and
That
Olaf
was not in Viego
both
hunting
cool
context.
In the short story, they show up in
that's in a thresh
Bilgewater.
hunting context.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Was like
Very
Shadow
interesting,
and Fortune, right?
Yeah.
And then things go off the rails a bit. Their official hunt for Viego, much less cool.
Yeah.
Then we've got Hecarim, Callista, Karthus, and Thresh. These are our undead folks causing a ruckus. Now, Callista's not necessarily part of like the Hecarim, Thresh, Black Mist that always attacks, but she hunts those who, go back on, like, betray other people, and you will not be surprised to find out there's a lot of that shit going on in Bilgewater. She is a frequent. She has a tab at the tavern, probably.
They got her on speed dial on the payphones. One thing you don't know.
She might as well just set up residence there. It's kind of it's funny when you talk about it that there's not any story that has her there in Bilgewater, like, because Bilgewater is very superstitious. They got a lot of like legends and myths and shit like that. So it seems like they would have their own unique spin on Callista. That could be fun. I guess she does show up in that one story, but
yeah, that would be interesting though, especially because one thing that's important to know about Bilgewater is its proximity to the Shadow Isles. It's really like the closest region, which is why when the mist spreads out, it just goes right to Bilgewater. And it's where a lot of people go kind of like when they're going to the Shadow Isles to hunt for like artifacts and stuff. It was mentioned on the wiki that it was a place to like frequently go to get like supplies and shit like that.
And I think I could be wrong about this because I don't know if it was ever actually specified, but her release cinematic also seemed very Bilgewater coded.
That's true. It really did.
Sure.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Yumi, Rise, Teemo, Tristana, Corki, and Lulu. They're just looking for something. They're just here poking around. Yumi's looking for Nora. Rise is looking for a rune. Teemo's looking for a pet to do a merit badge. And
I think he got one.
He did get one. He got a soul-devouring sea worm. And then Tristana, Corki, and Lulu are all looking for Teemo.
Yeah, funny that.
Technically, Tristana's looking for Teemo. Corki and Lulu are looking for Tristana.
Get it right.
What a tangled web they wove.
Right.
Then we've got Janna, who's the least cool god around here.
Wow. She makes wind, John.
sometimes.
Yeah,
She
man.
feels like it.
Bro.
Yeah, not Peltover and Zahn or anything. They have to build fans for that.
And then finally, we've got Swain and Zed, the We Hate Gangplank fan club.
Good for them. Gangplank sucks.
Them and Misfortune. They should all team up. Or something. I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of struck, I'll say, looking at the character list. Bilgewater on the lower end. It's only 9.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of total champions. Which is kind of wild when you think how many there are. And then also, of those, I think like at least 3 of them,
Yeah,
2.5 maybe, depending on how you count Pike.
Nautilus. Yeah, they don't do shit.
Yeah, are like these weird they're mythical legendary things that don't really. So you got like 5 people.
And Tom Kench.
Yeah, Tom Kench, yeah. That was at the third one. 3.5, because I was like, depending on how you consider, how much you consider Pike or what they could do with him. But it's like, yeah, it's like 3.5 people out of the 9 who are kind of like, they just kind of exist in that ephemeral, like some say, blah, blah, blah type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. I would say, Neela's kind of big here now, too, isn't she? Isn't she in Bilgewater?
Oh,
She's new
yeah,
on the
she
scene.
should be. I didn't have her
Yeah.
in the associated list. She should be, for sure, in the associated list.
Yes. Because she runs
in the
graves.
searching for something group.
Yes. I find her presence there interesting, mostly because for a very long time, this rivalry with Gangplank and Misfortune, and then Graves, Twisted Fate, and Lowy kind of getting involved. That has been like the only fucking thing going on in Bilgewater. So
Yeah.
they
And
need
Black
something
Mist.
else, I guess, and Black Mist too. But now even that's like, I don't know.
Played out.
Yeah.
Well, I think you got really a point, right? That one thing that's striking with Bilgewater, I'll say, is that almost compared to almost any other region, there's nothing in the way of old history or ancient Bilgewater history.
Yeah. The only thing we get is that one kindred story in Realms of Runeterra.
And who knows when that actually takes place? That could
We
be
don't
modern
really
right
know
now, right?
when that happened.
Right. I
We
feel
did
like
talk about that story in our Shadow Isles episode, which we did for Halloween.
Yeah. I feel like we learn more about the history of Bilgewater from the Ruined King game, which doesn't even take... Well, it does take place a lot in Bilgewater, but we learn more about the history of Bilgewater on the parts that are not in Bilgewater than we learn from, anywhere else. We learn way more about, the history of the Buru.
Yeah. Which I guess makes sense in that it's not an organized society, really. Record keeping probably really low on their list. I'm open to it. It's fine.
Sure. But Riot should know and tell us. We don't need everyone else to know.
Well, it's like you said, a big part of what they did with Bilgewater in the previously had to do with proximity to the Shadow Isles and the Harrowings, and they kind of really, that's a lot of what has happened there in terms of story, right? Is you had the, you had, was it Ruin King, and then Shadow and Fortune, I guess not in that order specifically, and then Rise of the Sentinels, and they've kind of brought that threat kind of to a conclusion, and now it's we need to do something else. And the same with Misfortune and Gangplank, where that's the big thing that happened was Misfortune shaking up the power vacuum, because gangs, right? Gangs and their sort of control over the whole space is a part of that, what goes on there. And now that's kind of languished a bit. Ilaoi even says as much in that one of her more recent stories, where she's like, these 2 assholes are just stagnant. They're just stuck here doing the same shit. So we need more people like Neela, is people who come and agitate. And another thing about Neela, I'll say, is that another big keyword for Bilgewater is sea monsters and monster hunting as a whole industry, right? And that's what she's all about. And I wish they would actualize the monster hunting thing more with Bilgewater, because it exists as a part of world building, but it doesn't play into anything that the champions are really doing. I feel like,
yeah,
what I mean?
Outside
that's
of
a good point.
history, because I think Pike's whole thing is pretty heavily, at least his history is pretty heavily leaning on the monster hunting aspect. That's and Nautilus too, probably, but.
Then that's just that's a paragraph in a bio, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing
Yeah.
is people who interact with it more.
But it seems
a
to
mini game.
It seems to have a lot to do with their architecture. Even a lot of shit is made from sea monster bones and stuff like that.
It's cool. It's a very cool adventure setting.
I will say, despite everything here, despite the fact that there's so few champions that are just have stories based around them or anything, and the fact that the main thing going on are those 2 things we talked about, both of which are kind of resolved already, largely speaking, Bilgewater, in my opinion at least, by far strongest written region in Runeterra. Like, the
It's
stories,
interesting you think that.
like...
They do have
The
a lot of our
strongest
favorite stories.
I think. A lot of our favorite, and not even just like one person who does a lot of really good ones, which we get in some regions. Like, my favorite stories in this region, all different authors. Like, thematically, it's a strong thematic. It's like it's not like a new thematic, but
No,
like
it's what
Pirate
people like.
City,
Yeah.
it never gets old. And the way that they did it, centering, aesthetically on like the monster hunting thing with like the bones and everything, like, is a cool way to do it that you also don't see in as many, Pirate City stereotypes. But like, the story's great. And I don't know. I just feel like it's like one of the best written regions, even though right now their stories are kind of over. I'd be fine with them not going back.
This
at
is
this
it.
point.
This is where Bilgewater is. No one's going there. Noxus is going to try to take it over. What are they going to do in Bilgewater?
The Gondun did it.
Now that I've said that, though, I really want to see Noxus try to invade Bilgewater.
I was trying to think what I would want them to do with Bilgewater. I have no idea.
I like its
To be honest with
connection
you,
to the Shadow Isles, because that's another thing that steps it away from like a cliched pirate town, I guess. And we talked a lot about how we really want like a Shadow Isles hunter champion, like someone who goes to the Shadow Isles to hunt for treasure. I think that's interesting. And there's probably a lot of people like that, and they probably kind of have a home base in Bilgewater. And I like that idea. And do a lot of these people come from Bilgewater? Because it's so close and they're very money driven and power driven. Is that something that entices them? Do the regular people of Bilgewater find those, Shadow Isles hunters fucking crazy because they deal with the mist all the time and they're like, dude, y'all are nuts.
Right. I'll dive into the water after a big ass sea monster, but I'm not going to the Shadow Isles.
Shadow Isles? What the hell is wrong with you,
I mean, maybe. This is what I'm saying. Where it's like it's a very fun adventure setting.
It is.
It's like we're just talking about it, it's like, gosh, there's so many things. Maybe it makes sense why they set games and stuff there, at least like Ruin King. But
and those parts were really
would really
fun.
love to do something.
The parts that were set in Bilgewater was like a lot of fun
I'm
there.
sure, yeah.
Well, it's got like you said, it's got a very strong aesthetic and thematic to it that is like when it's there in the game, it's a neat place. It's a neat place to just be around. Right?
Yeah,
I would love
just hang out.
And the music's always so good.
The music is great. It's got that pirate shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I was looking at the relationships between Bilgewater and other regions, one of the things that I don't think I realized, although I guess I kind of should have, just because of the relationship between, Gangplank and Zed, is one of the things that Bilgewater did when Noxus attacked Ionia was like, oh shit, they found a way in. Let's follow their ships in and we'll raid all of the the seaside settlements while Noxus is doing
rough. That's fucked up.
So they've got
I like it.
Ionia's really
That's
pissed
very
off
Bilgewater.
at
I mean,
Bilgewater
that
right
sounds
now,
like the people from Bilgewater, right?
So there's another potential antagonist in terms of if someone was going to attack Bilgewater at any point, then the Navori Brotherhood would probably be pretty
they
high
would
on
be
that
the ones
list.
who would do it, right? That's fascinating, and I like the idea
That
of
would
the
be fun
Navori
and
Brotherhood.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
An aggressive Ionian action in general is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Right? I
true.
imagine that's where that turns, right? Like, unite Ionia under one banner, but not to protect our little island, to get back at all the assholes who took shit from us.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
I am curious about the history of Bilgewater, and I would like to know more about it. That Kindred story is really riveting to get this kind of weird, historical, gruesome, like, party that they throw, and I want more of that shit. The festivals and the history of it. And how did people settle here, and how did it get like this?
So the original, we do know a little bit about the original history of it.
Okay.
And
Oh, and I also have one more question.
Yeah.
Was Bilgewater there and inhabited before the Ruination? Were they around during the Blessed Isles? Because that's something I'm curious about.
so Bilgewater
s-
itself,
I mean, I'm sure the
well,
islands were there.
I was going to say
I didn't
Serpent
know.
Isles was definitely, the Buru,
The
100%.
Buru.
Yeah, Buru or yeah.
I don't know for sure about Bilgewater.
I'm just curious about
Yeah, it's
that and
hard
how
to say.
Bilgewater would have been different when the Shadow Isles weren't there. Because in all of its history that we know, there's always been the mists, right? This has always happened. These harrowings have always happened.
I should go back and look at the Ruination book.
Big overpopulation problem in Bilgewater originally, before the Ruination.
That's true. I don't remember it being mentioned in the Ruin.
Well, there's a bit with Soraka in the Ruination novel where it's mentioned like that Bilgewater will become what it is. But I can't remember if there's a bit I think around when that happens where Callista is kind of just taking a break at some port, and I can't remember if it's sort of like proto Bilgewater or what the exact deal is. I don't know. But the Buru are a good thing to talk about, I'd say. Also, who are the Buru? Someone doesn't know what's a Buru, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess to bring it back to like very, very ancient history, it all kind of started with Ishtal, right?
I think so. I mean, I guess I don't know exactly.
So, like,
be honest with you,
from what I'm remembering, in Ishtal, when the first people kind of ventured out to explore the ley lines, they formed a lot of cultures between them, and the Buru were kind of some of the first ones formed with the people who left Ishtal to kind of strike out on their own, which is also a reason why a bunch of people from Bilgewater who have, I guess, some historical context for that formation, like treasure hunting in Ishtal is such like a big thing for people. No one ever makes it very far because Ishtal's just will fight you the whole way. But that is, I mean, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but it's at least accessible knowledge within Bilgewater that the Buru kind of came from this big magical place out near Shurima. But the Buru themselves are kind of a religious sect that worships the goddess Nagakaboros, who's like a giant tentacled goddess.
Spirit
and
thing.
They are all about the belief of kind of remaining in motion, right? Keep moving.
They would not like me.
Keep moving forward.
Like, girl, I've been on the couch all day. I don't know what you're talking about.
They don't like a lot of people.
Self-actualization. Yeah, you got a lot of hanging out with
but
them.
yeah, they have their own temples, and they have kind of their. I forget what the title. What is Alawi's official title? Not like a head priestess, but
Oh, shoot! I should. It's This is really gonna kill me now. I feel like I should know it.
But that's kind of the description of what she is, right? She's essentially the head priestess of the Buru order. But they were the original settlers on the island. They let other people settle in the Bilgewater area, kind of separated from the other of the Serpent Isles that they mostly populated. They are not a big fan of most of the people in Bilgewater, is the impression I get. But then they also worked with a lot of the Vestians in the Blessed Isles to come up with a lot of the technology and shit like that around that formed the magical backbone of the Blessed Isles.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I guess it's also good to note that the Buru have a specific affinity or connection with the like sea life around the islands. They have like serpent callers, people who like kind of priests who can kind of control them. And it seems I could be wrong, but I seem to have this sort of vague understanding of that connection becoming frayed or being affected by the. They have a name for the Pailangi or something like that. The people who are not Buru, who have come to live in Bilgewater, kind of messing up the balance with nature. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like
almost in a spirit realm. This
screwing up the Ionian connection to spirits, but yeah, it's very like. Yeah.
So So there are big
Which
elements
makes sense
there.
because, like, as we mentioned, big thing there is just hunting the monsters. If you're a religious sect around, connection with the sea creatures, and that I could see how that might hurt it a little bit.
I'm surprised they're not more antagonistic, broadly speaking, like as you frame it that way. But Alawi seems pretty chill. She seems specifically to be kind of like, no, they're not so bad. They got some good, they do some cool shit. So I don't know.
Maybe she's just trying to justify her booty call.
I was literally about to say she's trying to justify banging gameplay. She was like, guys, some of them are okay. Like this guy who saws people's bones or whatever for funsies. What did he do? Oh, he carves on their bones while they're alive?
Scrimshaw.
Yeah, Scrimshaw.
Live Scrimshaw.
I knew there was a cool name for it, and I didn't know what it was.
It's like, yeah,
Scrimshaw.
guys, I've tested him so many times.
So many times. Scrimshaw. Is that how you say it? Oh, because you're screaming?
Because he's, yeah.
Or maybe Alawi was screaming.
Ayo.
Ayo. No, I think Gangplank was probably doing the screaming.
He said, my bones.
My boner.
Boner.
These are not good jokes. I'm really sorry.
It's all right.
No,
it's late.
Right. We're getting kind of spacey.
Do you guys want to learn a little bit about the areas of Bilgewater?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, all right. First, we'll start with Bilgewater Bay, which is kind of like Bilgewater proper, right?
Sure.
We've got the Black Market Grottos, which is the primary location of the Bilgewater Black Market, which is a bustling area, as you might imagine. You've got
dead. Nobody's buying anything at the Black Market.
You've got Cutpurse Square. This is where Misfortune, Raffin, and her men fought the Black Mist until Lucian showed up to save them in Shadow and Fortune. You've got the Grey Harbor. This was a Bilgewater port that was lost years ago to the Mist. Before its fall, it had a magnificent Buru temple in it, though. It has since been overrun by Mistwalkers, but Captain Malik reunited the Jagged Hooks, who was Gangplank's old gang, and was somehow able to dwell in the Black Mist covering the harbor. Now, I feel I could be remiss remembering this, Mark. I don't know if you remember any better than I did, but wasn't the whole reason he was able to dwell there like a blessed artifact that Thresh had kind of given Gangplank to be like, hey, this will make you kind of cool with the mix.
Necklace thing, right? Yeah, I distinctly remember. Yes. I remember this all now. It's flooding back to me, all these Ruined King memories.
God, what a good game. Go play Ruined King, guys. Then we've got Rat Town, which is the largest settlement of Bilgewater. And, very...
what should we name our new home, boys? Rat Town!
I mean, to be fair, if someone said that, I would kind of be on board. Like, Rat Town's a pretty good name. It's like...
and it's accurate.
Yeah, there's rats everywhere.
And also, everywhere there's rats. It's all... This shirt is rats.
The rats?
Oh, shit.
They try to tell you about molecules. Atoms? Nope. Rats.
Ratums.
Mark looked he face palmed after that when he was like, oh.
It's a good joke when you face palm
broken
your
in
own
my brain. Fuck me.
No. It's all good and proper.
Now, Rat Town is where Butcher's Bridge is located. Now, this is an ancient stone overpass built into the cliffs, connecting the bustling piers with the notorious slums beyond. Most gather here to fight duels or exchange their illicit wares. And, if you were playing League back then, this was also a temporary ARAM map that was created in a Thunderdome.
Yeah, for the Burning Tides event. Yeah. Pretty cool.
One of the shops there was created out of like a massive sea monster, which I looked up when I was looking up the creatures from Bilgewater.
And then we have Serpent Bridge, which connects the Temple of the Mother Serpent to the rest of the city. So the Temple of the Mother Serpent is one of the few Buru temples opened in Bilgewater, dedicated to Nagakaboros, and it was built within a crater using scavenged materials from the sea. So it's in here where Alawi, with the help of her god, is able to cast out Hecarim and the other undead wraiths from the bay during one of the harrowings from Shadow and Fortune. Then we've got the Slaughter Docks.
Dope name.
Yeah, this is a good one. Better than Rat Town.
Oh,
Rat
yeah.
Town's good. Slaughter Docks, though, they put the laughter in slaughter. So, massive sea monsters are a constant threat in the waters around Bilgewater. Fleets leave port at sunset every day to hunt these mighty beasts, and if successful, they return to the Slaughter Docks to render the once great creatures down to meat, bones, and armored hides. Now, the Slaughter Docks are located next to Rat Town, beneath Butcher's Bridge, and the sea around the Slaughter Docks is just darkened by the blood of slain sea creatures all the time. So the chum draws sharks and other predators into the many harbors, stirring up a violent froth at all times.
That's dope.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Awful place to fall off the bridge, though.
Yeah, you hate that. Now, part of this is the carving bays. From McGregor's Kill House to the renowned outfits at the Blood Harbor, Slaughter Docks operate day and night to turn death into profit. Only the most successful captains can ever hope to run their own dock, so most are forced to haggle for the best deal before their prize begins to rot in the water. So if you are one of the captains here who does not own their own, you're really kind of over a barrel here, because as we mentioned, the sea around this whole area is just covered in sharks, just chewing at everything.
It's only
so you
sharks,
come back
there's no
with like
water.
a freshly killed sea monster. Not even just rotting, but like you got to get that shit out of the water fast. You don't get to haggle for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Gangplank obviously has his own. Gangplank's warehouse. It's situated at the end of a pier, guarded on 3 sides by sharks and razorfish-infested waters, and on the 4th by his Jagged Hook's dock gang. It was full of loot and spoils from every corner of the world, but in the aftermath of the destruction of the Dead Pool, which was his ship, Gangplank's spoiled-filled warehouses have been plundered, and those who followed the dread pirate have forfeited their allegiance.
Bummer.
And then McGregor's Kill House is at the end of the Slaughter Docks in Bilgewater Bay. It's the primary location where the Misfortune does her dirty work by executing political rivals or capturing outlaws. And then finally, we've got the White Wharf as part of this, which is located near the Slaughter Docks. It earned its name thanks to the layout of bird waste covering it from end to end.
Nice.
So, little world-building fact for Bilgewater. The dead are not buried here, but they're given back to the ocean, and the White Wharf is where it all happens. So, a grave of the sunken dead hangs, suspended in the cold depths, marked by hundreds of bobbing grave buoys. So they just kind of like put a body underwater, anchored down with like a weight, and they just kind of live there until they're either eaten or
I won't say live
decomposed.
there.
And
These waters are just full of horrible things that will kill you.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if you drink it, like, just horrible death.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no clean drinking water here.
No.
That's why people drink so much grog.
Drink the
you
grog,
know?
yeah.
So the graves of poor residents here have name posts tied en masse to old anchors, but the wealthy have lavish bobbing tombstones with carvings resembling rearing krakens or buxom sea wenches, and are interred with expensive caskets below the surface. The boatman ferries the bodies of the departed to the various graveyards scattered to the straits around the city. And then we've got the other part of Bilgewater, or the other part of the Serpent Isles, I guess, the Buru. The island of Buru are one of the islands of the Serpent Isles chain. So these isles are the location from which the religion of Nakaboros and its priestess originate from, and it's where the Temple of the Mother Serpent is, which is the main temple for Nagakaboros.
Pretty
Want
cool.
to know about creatures?
I absolutely want to know about creatures.
Wildlife. The wiki divided it into land and aquatic. Although I'm mostly going to focus on the land animals. A lot of the aquatic ones are things that you would expect. There's literally in a row, giant crab, giant squid, krakens. We all know what those are. There were some like more interesting ones that like kind of have sentience and like live off each other and things like that. These aren't like big sea monsters that people are hunting, obviously. That's a lot of what you see. And then there were these one fish that have like this glowing eye that could potentially be infected by the void. That live underwater there. Apparently there aren't a lot of different creatures in Bilgewater. A lot of rats, seagulls, and scuttle crabs. That's what the wiki says. And then it immediately starts to list like 20 different creatures that live there. So I don't know wiki. Like literally it's monster hunting and they're like, there's not much here. Just some crabs.
It's just, you know.
I feel like this is what the monster hunter is supposed to try to deter people. As far as the things that are on land, the one fruit we get, of course, is a type of orange. It's the bilge bitter, probably similar to the bitter orange. There's the dredgers. I really liked. I'd never heard of these guys. Are these a Legends of Runeterra thing, by the way?
Oh, they're like little gremlins.
Yes.
Yeah. Get the trash. Get the trash. Yeah, that's what they sound like. Yeah.
Thank you for the impression. The artwork seemed like it was official in Legends of Runeterra stuff. They're like sea goblins, basically. They do wear clothes and use tools. Most people don't know how many eyes they have because they like to wear squids as hats. They have yellow skin and are visually similar to Yordles, is what it says. But I don't know. Yordles are much cuter than this.
Yeah, I think you could... At 10 paces, you could probably spot the diff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Now, John's cracking open an orange. Did you want to hide that? Okay. We don't usually eat on this podcast. I made sure to house my molten lava cake before I came down here.
Well, this is thematic. This is Bilgewater.
Yeah.
I got it from Domino's yesterday.
Oh, man.
But they give you 3, and I'm like...
They give you 3
They
now?
give you 3. It's insane. I was like, I am one human being. And I'm sober.
This podcast sponsored by Domino's. Full disclosure, we own 12% of that
way
company.
Too much money to send myself a pizza and 3 molten lava cakes. I just wanted 1, but you can't order 1. Anyway, there's powder monkeys. Powder monkeys have fur the color of gunpowder and glowing yellow eyes. They're from a monkey idol currently located on the Serpent Isles. What the fuck does that mean?
They're from
It's a Legends of Runeterra card.
I also assumed this was a Legends of Runeterra card. Absolutely bananas that they've just decided. Also, there's that was all planned. It's bananas that there's just a monkey idol that's spewing out gunpowder monkeys with glowing yellow eyes who like to live around people, especially in areas where there's a lot of gunpowder. They can be useful in enhancing gunpowder-related weapons with unknown magical powers. That's wild to just slip on in there.
How many other idols are there like that?
I don't know. I just...
In the game, there's a tentacle idol, so I don't know. Maybe.
Tentacles
we got idols coming out of our eyeballs.
Oh, maybe.
It's only the 2. But Lord, do we have a lot of them.
So the last one I want to talk about, because they sound horrifying, are wharf rats or razor fins. They're a terrifying blend. This is just, I copied this directly from the wiki because I was like, I can't improve on this. They're a terrifying blend of shark and rat, commonly found on the docks of Bilgewater. These creatures are larger than dogs, which, I mean, a Chihuahua, a Great Dane, that's just way too...
Sure.
You can't just say larger than dogs. Anyway, they're bigger than dogs and are known to prey upon drunks and lone fishermen on moonless nights. They often travel in packs and are easily capable of biting a man's leg off. Their lithe, streamlined bodies allude to their speed, their teeth to their ferocity. Criminal circles often train these creatures to seek out and hound high-value targets. I assume Gangplank has some of these trained.
I was going to say, we see some of them at the opening of Shadow and Fortune, right? Doesn't Lucian see someone being attacked by...
Yeah.
Yeah, like picked over or something like that.
Bilgewater is so rough already. And then you have weird... it's full of rats. And then there's also monster rats that sometimes criminals will train to just bite your leg off.
Well, yeah. It sucks, man.
What are you going to do? It's where you're going to
go. Living.
It's a living. You can't go to Ishtal. You'll just get murdered there, too. You don't want to go to the Shadow Isles. The closest area is like Ionia. They don't like you either, obviously.
Yeah, but they won't train big rats to kill me, I think. That didn't come up when we did the Ionia episode.
Well, I have too many orphans to contend with.
Train them up.
Well, that's all I got. to bite people's legs off. That's what
Did
they
you
do
get
with
the name of the
Cane.
fish that has the void infected?
Oh, no, but I
the
can.
Abyssal Eye? Is that the one you're talking about?
Abyss-
Abyssal
Tree
Eye,
down.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like one. It kind of has an eye like Vel'Koz a little bit, but is that also a Legends of Runeterra card?
It is, yeah. Which is the only reason I
Yeah,
know it.
I think a lot of the creatures were.
Yeah. They've really filled it out because they give you all these different ones. And the art for them is cool if you like big underwater monsters. The one I would throw out also is the jawfish, which is related to pike, because if you go back and listen to the pike episode, we kind of talk about how there's this sort of weird suggestion of there being a greater intelligence to these jawfish, these big monsters, and references is like a sunken city, and I don't know what that's all about, but they seem to be a little more going on with them than just big monster. So I don't know.
Yeah, there were a few creatures that were like that. It was like people aren't sure, but they think that there's some sentience here.
It kind of tracks with
it's interesting. Yeah.
the serpent collar thing, right? That there's maybe some greater Nagakaboros kind of making her presence or her will known or done through them. I don't know.
Yeah. I also like that there's just like all of these maybe creatures and civilizations in there just totally free from all this Bilgewater shit. They're just living their lives.
Right. There's a ton of underwater shit happening near Bilgewater.
Yeah, and I do like how there is an area that's void corrupted and might be corrupting because what if it could corrupt something bigger than that, right? Love that. Love that for us when the void event happens.
Soon, TM.
Yeah.
Well, I assume you both have stories to recommend.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
There are
generally.
some of the best stories come from here, like we said.
Yeah. I've got my 6 faves.
Oh, nice.
Sure. Do you want to go
All right,
round for
I've got-
round or?
Sure,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
we'll take
okay.
turns.
I
Yeah.
I have 6.
First up, I've got Dead in the Water by Graham McNeil. This is kind of it's face a misfortune story, but also you get to see Nautilus at work too, which was very exciting and unexpected when we were first reading it.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. This was a really good one. This one was on my list. I'll throw out Destiny and Fate, which is one of the many Graves and TF stories. I liked this one because it's them going. This is probably the most, maybe the newest one of them, not counting the like Oyster Bill one. But I like it because it's like them going on a little dungeon crawl in Bilgewater. So it's like a really neat use of the kind of monstrous things that you could encounter there and stuff like that. It's just a fun, neat piece. I think that's some giant crabs show up in that one. You're in for a good time.
Yeah, and like there's like a giant squid thing too that shows up there too that like seems unreasonably large, but it exists somewhere else in the ocean, and it's just they opened a portal to it wherever it is.
Yeah,
It's also terrifying.
Love that. Love that. Because we think of Bilgewater as being like the place with the ocean, but there is ocean all around Runeterra.
it's true. It's easy to forget that, but it's true.
Yeah, and that story also ties directly into a Graves and TF cinematic later on, where the sea witch that they slight in that story almost gets vengeance on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got sea witch in it. Can't go wrong.
Next up, I had Burning Tides. This was the story associated with the massive Bilgewater event that kind of outlines how Misfortune was able to essentially blow up Gangplank's ship. She uses Graves and TF in a big part as a distraction there, but encompasses most of the human champions that you would expect.
Yeah.
Or that could, any human that could be here, they're here, baby. This was a big group effort. So this was Alison Hawks, George Kirstick, Anthony Reynolds Lenne, and John O'Brien were the writers on this.
Yeah, that one was also on my list. I mean, I think what I've kind of noticed when I was looking at the stories I liked from here is that they seem to have a really good sense, like you kind of said, across many different writers, of what it's like to kind of be around in and around Bilgewater, and how grimy it is, and how You know, like the just the feel of it. It's got there's a real texture, a real texture to Bilgewater, you know, and it's like
It's a mouthfeel to it, you know.
Yeah, right. It's got a crunch and a grit, and everyone seems to be really keyed into that. So any of these stories where people are running around in Bilgewater, you know, whether it's shooting the guts out of people or fighting ghosts or what have you, you know, stealing from a sea witch, they'll really deliver on that, and it's really, it really, to me, is like very immersive. Pulls you into it's like I'm really there in Bilgewater, getting eaten by rats or whatever the fuck's happening.
I love it.
Man, I didn't realize before how much like Bilgewater is just a natural version of Zon.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
no one wants to be there. Everything is just awful and grimy
dirty and
terrible
slimy.
and trying to kill you. It's
Green.
just that in Zon it's chemicals and in here it's viscera.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I guess I think you had a couple more than I did. I'll throw out, I didn't put Boys and Bombolini on this list. I do like that story a lot. I guess I only didn't because it's just so much. I don't know. I guess I don't know why.
We've talked about it so much.
Maybe it's that. I don't know, but
yeah,
I'll throw it out there in case it wasn't on your list. Otherwise, I had Shadow.
Of course,
and
it's on
was,
John's
baby.
list. Yeah, you guys have had the same list so far.
Yeah, I'll throw that out then. And I got one more after that. But it's a great story. Very, very funny. Very, just great. It's great. It's probably one of the best ones that we've read.
Yeah.
Do you two have the
Jared
same
Rosen story?
Do you have the same last one for the list?
I think he said he has one less than I do. So
Yeah,
Oh.
maybe, yeah.
what's your last one?
My last one is Shadow and Fortune.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought we talked about that already.
It's hard because
I mean, we talked about it in the episode, but not specifically.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember now.
Again, it's the same thing of like I just said, but this one is like this is them dealing with the harrowing, which was a pretty big thing. It's still that's a big part of what goes on in Bilgewater is the harrowings and their being close to Shadow Isles. So it's pretty solid.
Yeah, and you could see like how they're kind of handling it. Although it did raise a lot of questions of like, you guys have been doing this for a long time. Since Bilgewater, since all of you have been alive, you've been dealing with harrowings. You feel like you have a better system set up.
Yeah.
Although they are getting worse and, more frequent at the
I
time.
think that's part of it. Yeah, it's like maybe you would have gone through 2 in your life. And now it's like you got to deal with 3.
That's true. I think we talked about this because I complained about it previously. Probably more than once.
I do agree, though.
Maybe Heckram doesn't show up to all of them,
That's
I
true.
mean, fair.
I mean, I do agree in that, like, whatever. We don't need to get into it. It's not a big deal.
Last one I had was Then Teeth by Matthew Dunn.
That was pretty good.
Which was a Pike story.
Great title.
It's a great title, and I thought it did a great job at showing a lot of the kind of insanity, I guess, that Pike deals with in Bilgewater. But like, I don't know. I thought it did a good job of him just kind of hunting around, poking around, hunting folks.
Yeah, I remember it being very effective. It's for just like kind of a relatively short color story, as I kind of recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember liking a lot. I mean, Matt Dunn stuff is always pretty good, as I always feel. So it's like, just saying that, I was like, yeah, I remember that one. That one almost made the list. Honorable mention.
Ironic that the Pike story didn't make the list. Now we've got some comics. One, exactly.
Yeah.
Fortune Smiles by Anthony Birch, which is a misfortune story kind of told in the aftermath of the power vacuum, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right after Gangplank, quote, dies.
Yeah.
And then I've got an other media section here. So I'm going to start with Ruined King, the game, because I feel like if you want to just walk around Bilgewater, there's no better way to do it than this game. This is a very, very good view of Bilgewater here. Very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And, I mean, the Kingdom cinematic, which is just a trailer for the Ruined King. Then you've got Don't Mess with Yordles and Double Cross, which were some Legends of Runeterra cinematics set in Bilgewater. Both very good. The Double Cross is the one that's kind of a direct continuation of the Destiny and Fate And Don't Mess with Yordles. It's just fun, good times.
So cute.
We've got The Climb. There was a short section that MF is in, and looks like she's being grasped by some sort of big tentacled glowy monster.
I mean, I assume it's just a Alawi tentacle.
Right? It kind of looks like an Alawi tentacle. And it happens a lot, because I feel like that roughly happened in Call of Power 2 in the Rise cinematic. I think it cut out right when they dived in the water.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a prelude to it.
Yeah, maybe.
Then you've got Surrender, which is an MF-specific cinematic that was one of an animation kind of studio. She has a bit of a monologue about Bilgewater in there.
I didn't think there is
We've got
a monologue. Mm-hmm. I wanted to call this one out specifically because I think it's pretty neat. The animation workshop stuff is cool. And I don't think there's any... Is there any spoken dialogue in it? I think it's all just... I think it's just music.
I'm trying to imagine... Now I'm questioning. In my head, there was. I wonder if that was like something they told to us while they showed us the cinematic. Maybe. I mean, I'll go back and watch it again. I didn't for this, but it's pretty neat. I like it. It does. If it's how I remember, I think it does a good job of storytelling without dialogue. But maybe I'm misremembering. So. Let's see. We've got Rise from the Deep, which is a Pike cinematic. We've got Legends of Bilgewater, which are actually just narrated short stories, but they're narrated with sound effects and the speaker's real cool. He tells I think there's 4 short stories,
something like that.
All very good though, worth the listen.
Yeah, they are fun.
Yes.
You've got the River King, which is the Tom Kent cinematic. Blood Harbor Ripper, which is another Pike cinematic. And then finally, Kill List, which was a fan-made cinematic by Adam RXXNA, who does really cool League cinematics. We didn't talk about it during the Akali episode, but they actually have a handful of Akali cinematics on there too. One of which is Akali and Kennen playing, which is adorable.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's a very inspired choice for a subject.
Yeah. Right? Very cool, though. They make good cinematics, but this was another very, very fun one.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anyone had anything else, but I have a few fun facts if you wanted.
I only had a couple, I guess, quasi fun facts or just miscellaneous topics. The main one was that I saw some headline about there being a Bilgewater live action series to start filming late this year.
What?
I'm telling you what I saw in one thread that I didn't click the link to. I just saw what it said.
Well, why wouldn't you click the link to that?
Because it read kind of BS, but I'm pretty sure.
Is it posted yesterday? Because yesterday was April Fool's Day, Mark.
Oh, was it? No, I think this was before that, actually. This was a few days ago, I thought. I could be wrong.
Is it going to be made live action?
It was 3 days ago.
Death Note?
You found it? Did you find what I'm talking about?
These are rumors, but it says they're scouting locations for filming.
Okay. I mean, going live action is...
Ooh, they're looking... It looks like they've expressed a keen interest in filming at... I do not know how to pronounce this, but it's a Vietnamese archipelago.
Yeah, that I remember seeing in the little... I don't know, TLDR I was going to look at. Anyway, so just throwing it out there. It's an interesting little thing in the mix. It's an interesting way to go. Live action is really... who knows
That's
what
risky,
that could be like.
and it's not the region I would pick for live action.
Especially if they continue partnering with Netflix, who already has done a very recent live action pirate adaptation of
Maybe that'll draw people to it.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, thought I'd throw that out there. And I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but I was going to just make mention of the Bilgewater the Bilgewater bar back in Riot headquarters. I was reminded of it when we were getting ready for this, and I forgot how it's pretty cool. It's a hard thing to describe the experience of walking into, because everything else is modern video game, open floor plan, etc. And then you step into this weird Bilgewater tavern, just out of a hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll when I edit the video for this, I'll put some pictures in because I have a bunch of pictures of that coffee shop.
They do. I think sometimes when they do some of their dev update stuff, they film them in that space. So I'm sure people have seen it, but it's still cool. Good thing to mention
I
in
might
case
not
you
know
weren't
what
aware.
it was.
Right. And there's 2 rooms, you know? You've got where you order the coffee that has a shit ton of bottles on the wall and everything like that. And then you've got the cafe area, which is just made out of a shit ton of massive barrels that make the seating area.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very neat.
All cool.
But that's it.
Hit us with those fun facts.
I only got 3. I don't have a lot. But
Oh, God. I bet they're fun, though.
all right, there's a lot of pressure now. A bilge is the lowest compartment on a ship, below the water
is
line.
fun. I didn't know that.
Now, the bilge may contain water, oil, detergents, or various other liquids and materials, and the bilge's primary use is to keep unwanted liquids and materials below the decks during sea travel.
Interesting.
So, you know,
They named their
bilge water.
Man, they got really like low opinion of themselves. What's
Right.
a cool
Yeah.
name? Drinking water? No.
No,
Kind of dirty
shit
water.
Piss pot.
Piss pot.
Right?
Toilet water?
The water that we don't want touching us. That's the water we're named after.
That's it.
I mean, that's fair. I don't want that water touching me either.
That's true. It's gross. Gross water. In Season 9, the ranked emblems for the league system were redesigned, and Bilgewater represented the emblem for Iron Rank.
Neat. They really have a low opinion of Bilgewater.
It's named after trash water. It's, it's...
Yeah. No offense if you're iron. I haven't played ranked. Who knows?
Right, I was going to say, I'm sure we all would be. We just don't play ranked because we
Okay,
don't
Mark
want to find
isn't.
out. We all
I
would
would
be.
now.
Mark's got
I haven't
gold.
played
This
much
is a
League lately.
solidarity issue. I've gotten masters.
Yeah, iron very solid.
In TFT.
Finally, Bilgewater was inspired by a real historical pirate nation, Nassau. During the golden age of piracy, the strongest pirate factions from the Caribbean islands allied with one another and eventually formed this massive pirate nation.
Oh. That sounds scary. The idea of there being an actual Bilgewater.
Well, there weren't a lot of sea monsters, so I think that helps.
That's true. But really, who are the scariest monsters?
Oh, ooh.
We are the Walking
Oh,
Dead.
We are the Walking Dead. We are the virus.
Cool.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
all I got.
Neat. That was Bilgewater. Thank you so much for listening. We have a YouTube. If you want to see our beautiful faces, check out John's new green hair and my new orange hair.
Yeah.
You can check us out on YouTube eventually when this video comes up. We're usually pretty behind on the videos, but that's okay. It'll get there eventually.
Join my stream if you want to see it.
That's
IRL.
true. Join John's stream. We have a Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams on Saturday evenings. He does TFT and A-rooms with viewers, and he is also doing like indie games at the beginning of his streams. He'll post those on the VODs of those on the YouTube as well if you can't catch a stream. We also have a Discord. You want to find some people to play League with, make fun of our new green and orange hair, please join the Discord. We also have a Patreon. We're about to talk about Monster Hunter, as we said. It's $5 a month. For the bonus content, there's random episodes and videos there. Not a ton. Not as much as we'd like, but we did watch the Monster Hunter movie recently. None of us were sober. None of us liked it. And we're about to talk about that soon. I posted on the Patreon.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun time.
I think so too. We like to watch bad video game movies and then talk about them. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Madard tier patrons, Mr. Dead and King of Hearts. If you were new in Bilgewater, first day off the boat, I would protect you and make sure that none of those jagged hooks got their jagged hooks in you.
That's nice.
And I'd protect you from the harrowing and sea monsters.
Wow.
And the wharf rats.
These are a lot of promises. Ooh, maybe not the
Wharf rats, you're on your own.
Yeah. They're bigger than dogs.
Work
what
on
dog?
cardio.
I don't know.
What's an up, dog?
Please be sure to join us next week. We're going to be talking about some stories in the realms of Runeterra novel. We don't know which ones yet. We're going to pick some, though.
I swear.
Let us know if you have one you want us to go over. You can tell us in the Discord. Do it now. Go.